the organization. I don't think the organization can afford not to do something like that.
It makes so much sense. If I steal that idea, I will give you credit for it, by the way. From Stephen Corsell, or Corsol, hoping I'm getting this right, Corsol. I'd like to know more about your approach to broadcasting as an analyst. Enjoy your baseball-centric style and your expertise. To give insight Bert rarely gives. More specifics on a certain situation or stories from his career, much better. Okay. So basically, what's your philosophy about broadcasting?
It's very simple for me. I do this as not my primary means of familial support. I do it because I love the game, and I enjoy talking about the game, and I want more than anything for people to understand. I feel like I want people to love the game more like the way I love the game, and it seems to me that if I can impart some, and I don't want this to sound too arrogant, I don't mean it this way, but if I can at all, but if I can impart some education and some knowledge, some things that people didn't know about the game that help them watch the game in a more enjoyable way, and I believe that they'll come to like it more like I like it. And so that really is my style is basically, and I don't know if Fox Sports North likes this or I wish I did it differently, but my style is to imagine that everybody that's watching the game is sitting in my TV room in front of a big screen watching a Twins game with me, and I talk about what's happening and what's going to happen, what I think is going to happen, what I think ought to happen, what didn't happen or did, and why, what managers are thinking about it at particular points in time, so people understand the way ball players and managers think about the game as it's going on, and that's just as part of a casual, stream of consciousness kind of conversation. I mean, oh, by the way, I noticed this, or do you know why that person did that? Or because I think a lot of times, people don't know about that or don't know about that particular subject matter on a Major League Baseball kind of level of intensity and or thought process. And it's no more complicated than that.
From Darren Walker, baseball specialization. We know with ambidextrous
guy can throw with
pitchers, and also amphibious, that they have to declare with what arm they are throwing every at bat. But could you have a right-handed pitcher and a left-handed relief pitcher play first base and switch on every pitch, a shift to avoid umpires and rules?
I read this question. I think it's a brilliant question, and I think the only reason it hasn't been tried is because there hasn't been a situation where a position player can pitch well enough, right? So that it's worth doing. Brings to mind Ohtani, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. And with the Angels, who's a pitcher and player, would be interesting to see him playing first base. But the problem is, and then going to pitch for a hitter and come back. The problem is then that pitcher's got to go over to first base, and you can't hide guys. I mean, if you put somebody that can't play defense in the field, the ball's going to find them and find them quickly and regularly. See, that's just the way it works. So I think it's a really cool idea, and it's a brilliant way around the rules, and a brilliant way to mess up the opposing managers' matchup issues with their hitters and all that kind of stuff. I just don't think that it's not just a question of being ambidextrous and being good enough with each arm, or switching guys back and forth with guys being good enough on the mound. The chances are that one of them is going to be not as good at the position that they switch to off the mound, and vice versa. And the player's not going to. I mean, yes, could he be serviceable as a pitcher? Would it be better than bringing in one of the catchers in an 18-1 game in the eighth inning? Yeah, but is it really going to be worth thinking that the guy that you got on the mound who's left-handed and he's facing a right-hand hitter, can that left-hander really not be better against that right-hander than the first baseman or the shortstop or somebody? I just think, and then you got to move people. You got to move that pitcher somewhere. it's a great idea. I just think in practicality, it probably is not. We're probably not going to see that for a bit.
Right. Final Twitter question comes from old friend Izzy Presley, man about town, who asks, when will you be back on Days of Our Lives? There's a picture of an actor who has good hair. Apparently he thinks, I think you're way better looking.
Thank you. It's not about that. It's
co-host.
Yeah. But as I look at the picture, I think it's just another one of those shots at my hair.
I think it is.
And
a show that started off with LaPanta, I mean, hair shots are just, they're fine.
As my wife said to me one day, your hair has a life of its own. And I just don't understand. I don't understand.
She gets you.
I know. It's not me. It's not my life. I haven't chosen this life for it. I don't know why the infatuation here or the interest in my hair, but I just.
It's the low-hanging fruit for public figures.
I guess that I could.
Easiest thing to
I could cut it all off, but what's the fun of that? I'm not going to have it forever, I suppose. And so even though I've made it, for these many decades and
42 years, yeah,
or give or take 2 decades. But I just think, what the heck?
It looks good.
I'm just going to leave it.
I continue the competition with LaPanta. Absolutely.
His hair is hysterical because his gel comes directly out of the tap.
Yep.
He wets his hands and tamps that mat down. And what makes me laugh about that is that it looks the same whether he does that with the water or not. It's just this growth of thick
bramble.
It's always the same. It always looks the same, and it looks really good. It just never moves.
Never moves.
Did you ever see that us do the post game show from Boston, from Fenway?
Yes.
When we were Anthony and I, we had to go on the road to do the pregame post game show because we were doing the new studio, and we're up on top of the right field part of the stadium. I mean, way up on the roof. And we're sitting there doing the post-game show, and this gigantic wind comes from behind us. And I will tell you that wind from behind me is not a good thing. It results in a look that would probably not make anybody think of me in the context of soap operas or anything else. And it was pretty doggone hilarious where my hair was going and in what directions. And so the next 2 nights, I went back to the hotel. The next morning, I get up. There's a hair salon right in the hotel, fancy hotel where the ball clubs stay, and there's this hair salon. And I went in there and said, I want cement in a spray can. And they looked at me. They said, the gals in there looked at me and said, what? And I said, I want the strongest hairspray you've got. And we went up there and did the shows, and not only did LaPanta's hair not move because his never did, but I was sprayed to LaPanta-esque proportions, even though he doesn't. He uses water, I use cement in a can.
Well, I don't want to sell anybody out, but I have a source with FSN who told me that some of the producers, some of the behind-the-scenes people measure wind strength by Smalleys. They say, that's a 1 Smalley wind. That's a 2 Smalley wind.
Oh, that's awesome. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I just learned that yesterday.
That is hilarious. And I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised. It's, I can't help it. I don't want to cut it all off. And yet I have a lot of hair. It's just very fine strand hair. There's a lot per square inch, but it's not very thick. And wind is an issue. Just fine if it's in my face. From a different direction, you never know what look you're going to get.
We'll end this show there.
Without cement in a can.
Yeah, cement in a can. That's awesome. We'll end this show there. Next week, I'll get back to complaining that Twins fans don't understand how to rebuild a franchise.
That sounds good.
Yeah, oh yeah, what condition, my condition.